Hey folks, I don't know if you noticed, but if you type in any brand name and alternatives into Google, you will find plenty of these, comparison blog posts that are supposed to be reviews that are often written about the competitors by their competitors. And, we've done that because obviously it's something that works in SaaS. But it made me wonder recently, like when I saw our posts, our competitors' posts about best user pilot alternatives, how unhelpful these reviews were, because a lot of times, the person writing the reviews was just, probably a freelance content writer who has never used the tools. And the descriptions just weren't very helpful. And a lot of times they were pretty skewed. So, I even saw posts like 15 brand name alternatives, which is obviously not true because in this particular space, there aren't actually, 15 alternatives, say, to Userpilot. So I started thinking about it and realized it just like, comparing scissors to a knife to a nail file to, a nail clipper or a hair trimmer, which are all tools for cutting, but only some of them are good for cutting a birthday cake, right? So if you've ever had the experience of trying to cut birthday cake or any serious food like a steak with a small plastic knife, you know how difficult it is, even though like the tool is made for cutting, but it's not quite made for cutting this type of food. So, this also translates into the world of SaaS, that some onboarding tools were made for onboarding, but not quite for the same user personas or not quite for the same use case. Some were even made for, especially employee onboarding on third-party SaaS tools, and then were lumped into the same basically box as the tools that were made for SaaS new user onboarding. And on top of that, these tools differ in terms of, the ideal user persona. So some were designed for enterprise-grade customers, some were designed for like mid-market customer, and some were designed for really small SaaS businesses that basically are looking for something that is really cheap and really easy to set up and use and don't have a lot of time to play with it at all. So in today's post, I decided to own it and to tell you the truth about Userpilot alternatives. Because there are Userpilot alternatives, there are even good Userpilot alternatives, and for some of you, these alternatives may be even better than Userpilot. So why does it make sense to be honest in this? Well, if you come to us and we don't cater to your use case, then basically you will waste your time. And even if you, for some reason, manage to upgrade, we will lose you as a customer anyway. So why waste everyone's time on making, false promises and incomplete reviews, dishonest reviews, if we can just be upfront about the things that, well, we do well and that we don't well or don't do at all because we just chose not to do. So in a big nutshell, I think Userpilot only has two viable alternatives that kind of cater to the same or more or less the same persona, and that offer a similar level of service and functionality. And now, surprise, surprise, these Userpilot alternatives are AppQs and Pendo. So how are they different? Well, all of them are kind of for mid-market, leaning towards enterprise customers. So they won't be really appropriate for a really, really small bootstrapped SaaS that doesn't have a product team, that, like maybe has 5 team members altogether and doesn't have time to do any product adoption, because you won't be able to use all the features that these tools have to offer. And also the starting price point for all of them is like $250 per month. With Pendo, it's actually much, much more. So Pendo is definitely leaning towards enterprise customers. Well, Userpilot, I would say, has the most robust features of them all. So in Userpilot, you will find the most UI patterns and actions to build your interactive walkthroughs, to build your in-app experiences. You can literally build anything you want in Userpilot. You can create an NPS survey, a micro survey, an embedded micro survey. You can build a resource center. This is something that neither AppQs nor Pendo has. But now, what do they do better? So I think AppQs at this moment, at least at this point in time, has a slightly better UI, right? So it looks nicer. I think both of them have very similar logic in terms of the UX. They both work smoothly, but AppQs has been around for, well, 6 more years, no, a bit less, like 4 more years than Userpilot. So they just had a lot more time to improve their UX and really polish things. So less functionality, but better UI and maybe slightly better UX. What about pricing? Userpilot is definitely the best value for money, even though AppQs also starts from $250 per month. Actually, they limit your account by usage, so you can only build like 5 user segments, and that's really not a lot. And up to 10, you can pass up to 10 custom events, and you can also create up to 10 goals, right? In Userpilot, unlimited features, unlimited segments, unlimited custom events, unlimited everything, regardless of how much you're paying. And your price only goes up if you go over the 2,500 MAUs, which is the same limit for this pricing point as in AppQ. So you'll get a lot better value for money. Pendo is a whole different story. Pendo is very, very expensive. They don't even have their pricing on their homepage. So as you can imagine, it's a lot more. It's an enterprise, I would say, SaaS. How is Pendo better than both AppQs and Userpilot? Pendo is quite well known for its user analytics. It has a lot more detailed analytics, and it works on mobile apps. So this is something we don't offer at the moment. If you're looking for mobile app onboarding, Userpilot won't be an option for you at this point. So yeah, just saying, if you're using for mobile app, then out of these 3, Pendo is your man. But you will have to pay a lot for that. Regarding all the other onboarding tools and Userpilot alternatives, personally, I don't think they are alternatives, because they are either like catering to really beginner level, entry level SaaS companies, startups, having very limited functionality, being kind of half-baked, both in terms of UX and UI, or just like not offering the same experience, right? So there are some like entry level young competitors like User Guiding or Product Fruits or Nickled. These companies, I mean, Nickled has actually been around for a bit longer, but these companies all offer onboarding tools that are under $100 per month, and they kind of may look similar to Userpilot or AppQs when you look at the product features on their website. But I have used all of them. I have used Product Fruits, I have used User Guiding, and I mean, first of all, they don't allow you to build interactive walkthroughs, right? So the product tours will be largely linear, consisting, for instance, of modals, and you want to be able to create a truly interactive, seamless experience that will push your users towards the activation point without annoying them. Like, there is a lot of friction in the traditional product tours that everybody hates, and these are the only ones you can create with these cheaper tools. A lot of them don't have a resource center, they don't have NPS. If they do, they have something half-baked, right? So you want to be able to properly analyze your results and, for instance, divide your users into cohorts or segments based on the NPS scores or qualitative responses in the follow-up survey. So don't be fooled by the same features for 3 times lower price as with any cheaper copies of the original. These are not really fully fledged product adoption platforms or product growth platforms. These are like very basic onboarding solutions. And the most popular and the most basic one of them, Intercom Product Tools. It's a product that kind of Intercom slapped on top of their proper product suite to cater to this use case, new user onboarding. I would say this is an MVP. Right? So if you are a 2-person team and you have absolutely no time to code and no time to do anything about your user onboarding, then you may go for Intercom Product Tools, because there's literally like a couple of screens that change when you press the next button, and you can't really do anything interactive. You can't do anything apart from that on Intercom Product Tools. The only upside of Intercom is that you can integrate that with email onboarding. So if you don't have any solution for emails in your startup and you're looking for something really cheap, I think Intercom Product Tools start at $49 per month if you have less than 500 MAUs. And that's important because if you go over 500 MAUs, your price will go up really steeply. So that's the catch with Intercom, that they have a startup plan, but when you kind of go over this very modest MAUs, so monthly active users limit, you start paying a lot. Right, so not to bore you, Intercom is, I would say, not a solution unless you're testing the waters, right? So you don't want anything scalable right now. You just want to slap something on top of your native UI. Maybe you're not even sure if you're going to keep this SaaS for long, right? So then Intercom is something to consider. They have a good chatbot, right, and customer support tool suite. So actually you can integrate Userpilot with Intercom if you're already using Intercom, but don't use Intercom Product Tools if you want something scalable. And finally, there are these big, old, clunky, enterprisey solutions like WalkMe or WalkFix, right? That, again, I wouldn't classify as a Userpilot or Appuse or Pendo alternative, because they cater to much bigger enterprises that have the time for a lot of setup, that want some more robust, again, analytics features, but that as a SaaS you don't really need, and that want the employee onboarding use case on third-party tools like Salesforce, HubSpot, right? These integrations are built in there. So if you're looking for enterprise-grade, customizable integration, but have a lot of development resources to invest in it, and you're in an enterprise, then you may consider WalkMe or WalkFix. But otherwise, I wouldn't really compare them to tools like Userpilot or Appuse. Cool. So I talked for very long today, but I hope it helps you if you're not using us yet to make an informed decision. I hate reading these posts that don't help me at all. So let me know if that was helpful, and if you want to talk to me about like my user experience with these tools. Of course, I'm biased, but I'm a very frank person. Yeah, ping me, reply to this email, and let's chat about it. And hopefully see you next week. Bye bye.